All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another reaction video. So let's watch Randy Orton hated working with these wrestlers. Let's watch.
Randy Orton is one of the most iconic names in WWE history, known for his incredible in-ring skill and natural charisma. But Randy hasn't always had the easiest time getting along with everyone he worked with. In today's video, we're taking a look at the wrestlers who got under the Viper's skin, both backstage and inside the ring. In the early days of Randy Orton's WWE career, he was put into matches with veterans on house shows. The older guys were supposed to be a safe pair of hands, while the rookies were getting used to working in front of a live crowd. One of those veterans was Bob Holly. He was known for his physical, hard-hitting style, and he had a polarising reputation in the locker room. Some saw him as a no-nonsense, old-school wrestler, while others viewed him as a bully who enjoyed dishing out punishment. For 8 grueling weeks, Orton found himself paired with Holly on WWE's live event circuit.
Wow.
Holly would push Orton to his limits, often making him bleed the hard way. It wasn't unusual for Orton to come back from their matches visibly bruised and beaten up. Many believed that Holly liked to test the young guys to see if they were tough enough to survive in the wrestling business.
How about I could start with you right here and right.
I feel like that's like in every field though. I feel like when you come into like a new environment and there's always that one person that's like super passionate about the job and they just like to test you and test you and test you and see how thick your skin is. But I get it, especially for WWE. Like, he's gonna be going through some shit, you feel me? So I get where Holly is coming from doing that, you know what I'm saying? But that shit do be annoying, especially like in a work environment. There's always that one person that just want to just keep picking at you. Sometimes their intentions are good, and then sometimes they do it for their own entertainment and just, yeah. But I understand it. I see
It doesn't matter
I see the reasoning behind it, the point.
Me, Michael Cole, because I will break your ass in half, you little shithead.
And being a second-generation wrestler,
And then his father. So it's like, you're not finna come in here and get special treatment. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because your daddy was a wrestler, you got a little bit of a background or whatever, you're not gonna get special treatment up in here. So I get it.
didn't help Orton either. The fact that his dad is a wrestling legend might have got his foot in the door, but now Bob Holly was going to see whether he deserved to be there.
Right.
But ultimately, those matches would have shaped him into the toughened performer that he went on to become. While Orton probably came away with respect for Bob Holly after working with him, the same couldn't be said for Bubba Ray Dudley. At a house show in 2003, it was Orton and Batista as part of Evolution facing off against the Dudley Boys. A mistimed double team move led to 3 separate injuries happening all at the same time. Batista tore his triceps, Bubba injured his back, and Orton broke his foot after Bubba Ray fell on it. In the aftermath, tempers raged backstage, with Bubba reportedly blaming Orton and Batista for the botched spot, even as both men were being loaded into an ambulance. In an interview many years later, Orton didn't hold back when asked about his feelings towards Bubba Ray. "I never liked him. I never liked what he did because he only thought of himself.
Wow.
In the match, my foot was broken. It was his fault. Bubba Dudley is the most out of shape, fat, non-work ethic having person I knew. And you had a bad taste in your mouth when you met him." Orton's frosty relationship with The Rock dates back to 2004, when the two briefly shared the ring leading up to WrestleMania 20. At the time, Orton was still establishing his place in WWE, while The Rock was winding down his wrestling career to focus on Hollywood. Evolution took on The Rock and Mick Foley at WrestleMania, and while they worked together professionally to deliver the storyline, it was reported that there was tension backstage between the men. While it didn't spark any major incidents, the seeds of Orton's resentment were planted during this time. Fast forward to 2011, and things boiled over. By then, Orton was one of WWE's biggest stars, and he didn't hide his frustration about a part-time star stepping back into the company as if he'd never been away. Orton unleashed on The Rock in a radio interview, questioning his authenticity and work ethic. He claimed that The Rock relied on teleprompters and writers for his promos, and also accused him of lying to the fans, pointing out that he'd once promised never to leave WWE again, only to walk away and go back to Hollywood. Later, Orton referred to The Rock as a snitch, saying that he'd gone to Vince McMahon to complain about Orton's comments in interviews. He revealed that John Laurinaitis had pulled him aside backstage to give him a stern warning on behalf of McMahon to stop bad-mouthing The Rock. Apparently, the two men shook hands later that year, but it's telling that they haven't crossed paths in the ring since 2004. Randy's never been afraid to say out loud exactly what he thinks, and he seems to have a very low...
I respect it though. I like that. Yo, he's not playing a character. He's not playing a character. This is really him. Like, oh my goodness.
Patience threshold. During a WWE tour of Australia, Kenny Dykstra pushed his patience too far. After repeatedly annoying Orton at a bar, and despite several warnings to back off, Orton reportedly slapped Dykstra unconscious. He later described him as being cocky and disrespectful, and this lack of patience carries over into the ring too. He's a known perfectionist, and he can get frustrated when someone doesn't meet his standards, which can have lasting consequences. In 2010, he was involved in a match with Kofi Kingston on Raw. At the time, Kingston was riding a wave of momentum, and it seemed like WWE was lining him up for a main event push. But one misstep in the ring with Orton changed everything. In a triple threat match involving Orton, Kingston and John Cena, the planned finish required Kingston to stay down for Orton's punt. Instead, Kingston got up too early, forcing Orton to call an audible and end the match with an RKO instead. Orton's frustrations boiled over in real time, with cameras catching him yelling at Kingston that he was stupid.
Kofi Kingston, jaw and face. Can't believe it.
And backstage, that reaction reportedly had a ripple effect. His anger influenced Vince McMahon's decision to cancel Kingston's push, relegating him back down to the mid-card. And for Kofi, it was a significant setback in his career, and it would take him nearly a decade to get back up to the same level. But Kofi wasn't the only superstar.
I wonder why. Why did Kofi do that? And then he fucked up his push, bro. What was the reason?
Whose career was affected by Orton's frustrations. Just ask Mr. Kennedy, whose mistake in a match in 2009 led to one of the most infamous firings in WWE history. The incident occurred during a 10-man tag team match on Raw, where Kennedy executed a back suplex on Orton, who supposedly landed awkwardly. After the match, Orton was reportedly furious and claimed that Kennedy's actions were reckless. While footage of the move doesn't exactly look catastrophic, Orton's reaction certainly was, labelling Kennedy as unsafe to work with. John Cena reportedly sided with Orton, reinforcing his claims and further jeopardising Kennedy's career, which is a damaging accusation for any wrestler, but especially for Kennedy, who already had a reputation for being injury-prone. For Kennedy, this proved to be the final straw. Just days after the match, WWE released him, ending his run with the company. But not every wrestler that's annoyed Randy has stayed on his bad side forever. In fact, one of Orton's most memorable partnerships started with plenty of friction behind the scenes. When Matt Riddle first joined WWE, Orton was far from impressed.
He looks like a fucking troll, bro. He look like the type that play too much and he don't know he playing too much. You gotta slap him. Like, he got that face. Like, bro, like, stop. He look like he smoke a lot of weed and just play all day.
Riddle's laid-back personality rubbed Orton up the wrong way. During live interviews, Riddle would go into business for himself and make off-script remarks, including comments about Orton's injury, which Orton found to be disrespectful.
Oh, wow.
Orton was even more disgruntled when he was put into a tag team with Riddle. The situation escalated when Riddle claimed in another interview that he and Orton were moving the needle more than the Universal Champion Roman Reigns was. This comment sparked a huge amount of backstage heat towards Riddle, and Orton had to step in to help him draft an apology and smooth things over. But after spending a little bit of time together, Orton really started to like Riddle, and he insisted that they keep the tag team together. Riddle is one of those rare cases where Randy went from hating working with someone to loving them. Going back in time a few years to 2013 and the WrestleMania Revenge Tour, and Orton found himself clashing with the Road Dogg. Road Dogg had recently embraced sobriety and took pride in being disciplined and punctual, and he expected those around him to also appreciate those qualities. Orton, on the other hand, was far more laid back, often being the last person to get on the tour bus. This habit infuriated Road Dogg, who saw it as a sign of disrespect. For Orton, having someone like Road Dogg calling out his behaviour in public probably felt patronising, especially as he was already an established top star by this point. But despite their differences, the two eventually moved past these issues. Road Dogg later admitted that his own pride and ego had played a role in the tension, and today he and Orton reportedly have a strong working relationship. While Orton's problems with other wrestlers have usually been long-term issues, his match with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2016 was an isolated incident. But in that moment, he must have hated working with the big man. The match ended with Lesnar taking things to another level by delivering a series of very real elbow strikes to Orton's head. It was later revealed that it required 10 staples to close the wound and had suffered a legitimate concussion. The decision to have Lesnar attack Orton the hard way was agreed upon by WWE management and Orton himself beforehand, but most people in the locker room were totally unaware that this was going to happen. Chris Jericho famously confronted Lesnar after the match because he was so upset about what appeared to be a real attack on his friend. As for Orton, he's remained relatively silent about the experience, but it's safe to say that this match probably wasn't one of his favourites.
I didn't know that. Wait, so they planned for that to happen. Now, I wonder, I'm pretty sure it wasn't supposed to go that far to the point where he split his head and he had to end up getting staples. I'm pretty sure that pissed him off because, like, bro, like, this is planned, but not to go this far. And Chris had to Chris felt compelled to step up and say something. Wow. Wow, he's been so vocal about everything else. I wonder why he kind of like kept silent about that. Was it because they planned it, or that's probably why. It's probably because they planned it, but I'm pretty sure he has to feel some type of way because he was gushing blood. I don't know. I would love to hear like his feelings on that. He has to feel, just looking at that last clip too with the referee, you can tell he was pissed and he did not expect, or he did not think or he did not want it to go that far. Like, that's what Holly was getting him prepared for. Even though he agreed to do it, they all agreed to do it. Holly was getting him prepared for that, and that's what I was talking about. Especially his crazy ass Brock Lesnar, dude. He hits like for real, for real. Especially if you piss him off, he's gonna fuck you up. So damn, that is crazy. I didn't know the full context of that. That is insane. But that is gonna do it for this reaction, you guys. Make sure to leave some likes and comments down below. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the next one. Toodles.